Panipat, Ahmedabad. Okay, a lot of people. So I'm going to keep reading the city names just for a minute. So Pune, Bikaner, Delhi, Kolkata, Jaipur, Sydney. Okay, I saw someone from Sydney as well. Bangalore, Pune again. Anyone dialing in from outside of India? So let us know if you're dialing in from outside of India. It would be great to see if any of the audiences are outside of India as well. I see someone, Janvi, dialing in from Pakistan. I see someone from Egypt as well. Okay. I saw a few more people from Pakistan dialing in. I saw someone from Sydney dialing in. I see someone from Mika from London who's dialed in as well. Hi, Mika. Great to have you over here. So great. This actually vouches for the diversity and the strength of the session that we are doing today. If people are dialing in from across the world, I can just guess how popular, Sandeep, you are amongst the audience and how curious they are to hear and see you live in this session. Great. We have around 440 people in this room already, so we are going to touch capacity of 500 very soon. So disclaimer over here, in case you get logged out and if you're not able to join back in because the Zoom room is full, you can watch this session live on our YouTube channel as well. Some of you would have, those who have registered would have got the YouTube channel link on your WhatsApp message as well. So you can use that YouTube channel link and watch this session on our YouTube page live as well. Great. With that, let me get started on today's session. So what are we doing over here today? We are talking about the new GMAT Focus Edition. So those of you who don't know, GMAT has recently launched a new Focus Edition. It is a game changer. It is revamping the whole GMAT as such. The scoring scale is going to change. The sections are going to change. There are got a lot of new features that have been incorporated, keeping in mind what the schools and the candidates were demanding for some time. So we are going to learn about the new GMAT Focus Edition today. So we are going to speak with Seema Parker, who is with GMAT's Asia Pacific team. She will tell us about the new Focus Edition very shortly. Once she's done, we are going to talk to Mr. Sandeep Gupta, who's the founder of Top 1%. Sandeep, truthfully, needs no introduction. He is a world-renowned GMAT and MBA admissions expert. He's known to have scored a 800 out of 800 on the GMAT himself, a 340 out of 3 GRE as well. So we will speak to him as well, and he will do this workshop and tell us on how you can prepare for the new GMAT Focus Edition and ace that to the notch. But before I do all of that and get started on this session, let me now do my introduction as well. My name is Sanjay Dhingra. I'm one of the co-founders at Seed Global Education. In my previous avatar as such, I used to be an admissions director and admissions officer working with B schools. So I spent a couple of years working with the Indian School of Business based out of Hyderabad, doing international admissions and outreach for them. And then I did the same thing for the Schulich School of Business, which is part of York University in Canada, Toronto. During this experience, right, having spent over a decade in admissions, recruiting, evaluating candidates, I can vouch for how important or how critical is the role of GMAT in the entire application evaluation process, right? It used to be a very important criteria at ISB, at Schulich when we were evaluating candidates. It is also a standardization factor as such. Our academic scores vary from university to university. Your profiles, extracurriculars, these are all subjective, right? As an admission officer, I can evaluate those subjectively, but GMAT was one thing which brought everyone at the same pedestal, at the same level as such. So very, very critical aspect of the entire B school evaluation admission journey. With that, let us kickstart this session. Let us understand the new GMAT Focus Edition and then speak to Sandeep and understand how you can ace the test, ace the new GMAT Focus Edition. Over to you, Seema.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. I'm just sharing my screen. Let me just know if it's good to go.
It is. We are able to see it now.
And just a second. I'm just going to present a view. So, yeah. Everybody can see the screen?
Yes, we can. Absolutely.
Okay, so thank you, Sanjay, for that very warm welcome. And I would like to welcome all the participants. I can see that everybody is like super enthusiastic here and excited to, probably know all about the Focus Edition as well from this entire session. So the first thing that I would like to actually just get started before I start talking about the Focus Edition, Sanjay, you did speak a lot about the GMAT. With respect to the GMAT, just a quick brief introduction. We are a global mission-driven association of leading graduate business schools established in 1953. Of course, we own and administer the GMAT exam. Of course, we do have other assessments like the NMAT and executive assessment also. Now, in terms of acceptance, it is without a doubt that GMAT is the #1 exam for graduate business education. So if I were to look at some numbers, you can see that 7,700 programs at 2,400 universities and organizations across 110 countries use the GMAT exam as a part of their application process. And every year, more than 200,000 candidates take the GMAT exam. And 9 out of 10 of those, the new MBA enrollments are made using GMAT. And if I were to talk about the top 100 ranked MBA programs, you'll find that 7 in 10 applicants actually use the GMAT exam, right? So a lot of statistics that I'm throwing at you, but the point that I'm trying to drive is it is the highly regarded and the most widely accepted exam by prestigious institutions across the world when it comes to graduate business education. So I am going to quickly now take you through the Focus Edition, which is all the buzz right now, and all of the amazing features that come with the Focus Edition. So before I actually take you through the details, I have a small video for you to give you a quick peek into it. I'm not sure if the audio is going to function, but then I think the message would be delivered with the video as well. So here goes. Okay, that was a quick look into what you can expect from the evolved form of the GMAT exam. And as you can see, it is shorter, it is more efficient, it is more flexible and insightful. We are going to see each of these in detail, right? Before we do that, the first thing that I want to do is show you how the GMAT Focus Edition exam structure is different from the current version of the GMAT exam. So you have the current version of the GMAT exam on board. As you can see, there are 4 sections. You have your quantitative reasoning with 31 questions to be answered in 62 minutes with a score range of 6 to 51 with problem solving and data sufficiency. And then you have your verbal reasoning, which you have 36 questions to be answered in 65 minutes. Again, the score scaling is ranging from the score ranges between 6 to 51. In this, you have critical reasoning, reading comprehension, and sentence correction. Next, you have your integrated reasoning with 12 questions to be answered in 30 minutes and score of 1 to 8, which is not a part of your 200 to total score of 200 to 800. And then you have last your analytical writing, which consists of an essay, the argument essay, that you have to write in 30 minutes and a score range of 0 to 6. And total of 80 questions that you have to answer in 3 hours and 7 minutes. Let's take a look at the Focus Edition. And here you can see just 3 sections. So you still have your quantitative reasoning, you still have your verbal reasoning, but you'd see a new data insights section. But we'll dive into what exactly is there. With respect to quantitative reasoning, 21 questions, only problem solving, just quickly note that, right? Verbal reasoning, you have about 23 questions, and only critical reasoning and reading comprehension. In data insights, you'd see some familiar questions from your integrated reasoning, that's your multi-source reasoning, table analysis, graphics interpretation, and your 2-part analysis. Plus the data sufficiency that you have seen your quantitative reasoning kind of has made its way into the data insights. All of the 3 sections has the score range between 60 to 90, and each section timing is 45 minutes. The total score range, you'd find the difference here, 205 to 805, and 1 hour shorter than the current version of the exam, which is 2 hours and 15 minutes only. So when this need for this a shorter version of the GMAT exam actually took place, the idea is also to ensure that we focus on certain skill sets, or we hyper focus on certain necessary skill sets like the critical thinking, data literacy, and problem solving, skills that are considered essential both by the business schools as well as the employers. So this new form of the test is the best indicator of your success. So as you can see, no new question types, but an updated calibration to focus on these key skill sets. So the lesser relevant content areas like your sentence correction, your analytical writing and assessment, your geometry in problem solving, the quantitative reasoning, those actually go off. So with that, let's actually take a look at the 4 key areas of improvements in the test-taking experience that I'm super excited to share with you. The very first one is your question review and edit. So the question review and edit feature includes bookmarking. When you are attempting a section, you will have the ability to bookmark questions that you're unsure about and kind of like want to get back to later. So once you complete your section, you can go back to those questions within the remaining section time. So you can review any question, whether you have bookmarked it or not, and change up to 3 responses. The next one is you're selecting the section order. So in the current version of the GMAT, you have 3 specified orders that you can work with or you can select. But in the newer version, you have 6 combinations that you can work with. You can determine what you want to do first, second, and third. Important point to highlight here is in the current version, you have 2 optional breaks of 8 minutes. In this new version, you have 1 10-minute break, which you can take up to the first section or the second section, right? The third one, and my personal favorite, the improved score report. So the official candidate score report now offers detailed performance insights, and that's included in the GMAT Focus Edition registration without any additional cost. So right now, these performance insights actually come at an additional purchase of the enhanced score report, but the official score report in the Focus will include detailed performance insights by section, content type, time management, and more, right? So you'll be able to assess your strengths and weaknesses and a lot more from this feature. And the last one, a lot of flexibility, and I'm sure that a lot of people would be happy with this as well, easier score sending. So you no longer have to actually select the programs for score sending before you sit for the exam at the test center. So both the test center exam as well as the online testing, in both of these, you would be able to send your additional 5 free score reports by selecting the schools up to 48 hours after receiving your official score on the MBA.com. And along with this change, earlier, that is in the current version, when you send your score report to the business schools, the business school actually gets your entire history of GMAT scores. But in the new version, you can select the score that you want to send to the school. So a lot of flexibility, control, and personalization with respect to the features. Now, let's pause for a moment and quickly look at what has changed and what has not changed. So right in the beginning, I talked about the acceptance, big numbers, that still remains the same. All the programs that I spoke to you about, all the numbers that I spoke to you about is applicable to the GMAT Exam Focus Edition as well. The delivery methods, online and offline, that still stays the same. We talked about the structure. So, the testing design is still question adaptive. I'm going to skip a few of these and get down to the attempts because we've talked about the others. There's 5 attempts in a rolling 12-month calendar period. That still remains the same with a 16-day waiting period for between both. The 8 lifetime attempt limit, that still remains the same, and it is applicable across both the versions of the GMAT exam, right? And the accommodations also remain the same for special needs. The fees are also at par with the current version of the GMAT exam, depending upon the region that you are at. So as you can see, the registration policies do not really change as much. You will have the testing appointments open up 6 months in advance. The ID requirements do not change. So a lot of comfort in that. So let's switch gears a bit and quickly discuss the changes to the scoring. To give you an overview about it, the total score now will be a combination of the quantitative reasoning, the verbal reasoning, and the data insights. So your total score will now range from 205 to 805 in increments of 10, while each of the 3 section score scales range from 60 to 90 in increments of 1. As you can see, the scales on the updated version of the GMAT Focus Edition is very distinct as a result of all of the things that I mentioned to you in the previous slides. And the new scale allows you and the business schools to distinguish between both the versions and make sure that the evaluations are appropriate, fair, and based on the current version of the GMAT. What this means is that you cannot directly compare the scores from both the versions of the exam, right? Then you might be wondering, then how do I really compare my relative competitiveness across the 2 versions of the exam? You can do this by linking and comparing both the versions using percentile rankings rather than the scores themselves. So the percentile rankings indicate the percentage of test takers that you perform better than, right? So you have this concordance table available on mba.com if you want to kind of like understand if you have the current version and what it means for the Focus Edition. You can clearly see here why percentile rankings are important, because if a school is looking for a competitiveness to be at a 90th percentile, they would no longer be looking at 700 and above. They would be looking at something like mid 600s in the Focus Edition, right? And if you're wondering if the schools do know about it, they absolutely do. They have worked on this, with us on the Focus Edition as well as the score scaling. And GMAT has worked very closely with schools and other partners to make sure that they are also aware exactly how they need to look at the scores. So in fact, the scores from either version of the GMAT exam are going to be considered because you have your 5-year validity period, right? So if you're taking the current version now, the 5-year validity period still holds for the current version. The schools know how to look at the competitiveness across both the versions, right? So you gotta, I think I've given you a quick but comprehensive understanding of the GMAT Focus Edition in this small gap. What do we have for you to get your prep kickstarted for the Focus? We have already launched the Focus Prep materials on June 6th. You'll get your free practice set test 1 and 2. You also have your official starter kit with few video lessons as well as 70 practice questions that you can sort by difficulty sets, question type. Do make sure that you create your account on mba.com and avail this free resource. You also have a free 6-week study guide that you can use. Besides this, of course, you have, just a moment. Okay, besides this, you have your practice test 3 and 4, 5, as well as 6. These are for purchase. And then, of course, official guide bundle, official guide, quantitative review, verbal review, and the new one, data insights, right? Plus, we have 3 question banks, 100 questions each for each of the sections that is again available for purchase on mba.com. And if you do want to purchase, we do have a running offer, which is like Prep 10 that you can use for the Focus materials also to get your prep kickstarted. Before I wind up, I just want to take you through the timelines for the Focus. So the registrations are all set to open on August 29. The actual testing would begin from the Q4. We will soon release the testing dates, announce the testing dates. But if you are applying for fall 24, the round 1, round 2, and so on, typically the current version of the GMAT is going to be the most relevant for you. Okay, and you're the lucky lot because you will be able to take both the versions of the exam across the Q4 when the Focus also gets activated. And the current version of the GMAT will sunset in Q1 of 2024. So that's it from my end. A quick twister tornado of the GMAT Focus. Over to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Seema. This was extremely insightful. And, of course, I have been, we attended the summit, so we got to know about the Focus Edition a few months earlier, but this is great. I'm sure the audience is really appreciative of this session, getting to know what's happening. You'll be surprised to know there are 500 people in the Zoom room, which is the maximum capacity of the Zoom room. And there are 200 people also watching it live on YouTube. So
That's
that
nice.
talks about the interest again. I'm going to go to Mr. Sandeep Gupta very shortly, but before I do that, I quickly want to show our audience one more interesting thing. So if you're able to see my screen right now, you'll see a QR code and you'll see something called as the Business School Festival mentioned on the screen. Are you guys able to see this? I'm assuming you are. So if you are,
Yes, it's visible. Yes. Yeah.
great. So I didn't talk much about what Seed Global Education does particularly. So I'm going to take a minute to talk about that as well. We are a UK-based company which facilitates interactions for prospective students with top business schools and opportunities like this workshop. We facilitate a lot of these interactions through online masterclass, through campus tours across India, Africa, Middle East, and now through the Business School Festival as well. So this is a new initiative that we have taken this year. We are launching the Seed Business School Festival in India this year. We are going to be in 5 cities starting from Mumbai. We're going to go to Pune, Delhi, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. So we're going to cover 5 cities of Mumbai, Pune, Delhi, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. And we'll have schools like Berkeley. So the admission director from Berkeley is traveling with us. The associate director of admissions from Duke is traveling with us. Similarly, the director of admissions from Texas McCombs is there with us. So these are the Study in the US Business School Festival events where you can, as a prospective student to any of the top US business schools, whether it's for the MBA program or the Business Masters program, you can come attend this event where you would get a chance to attend a lot of workshops. There would be panel discussions where these admission directors would be talking about which are the right programs to choose, what is the support they provide to their students to succeed in the job market. And you'll also get a chance to interact personally, to walk up to their desk during the fair and ask them your personal questions. So get feedback on your profile, your fit with that school, or anything more that you want to know about these schools. As you can see, some of these and all of these are amongst the top schools in the US. So Rice University is again very popular amongst Indian students. So is GW, University of Illinois, St. John's, University of San Diego, UC Davis, Duke, Berkeley, all of these. So if you're interested in attending these events, the registration is live. You can scan this QR code. It would take you to a directory page where all the 5 events are listed. You can go and register to an event which is nearest to you or which is in the city nearest to you. And you can come and meet all the admission directors under one roof during these events. With that, I'm going to stop the screen share. If you missed scanning the QR code, don't worry about it. I'm going to post a link to the registration form in the chat very shortly as well. But let me stop the screen share now at my end and hand over this forum to Mr. Sandeep Gupta, who's the founder of Top 1%. I want to do a more detailed introduction for him now. I did a brief one earlier, but let me do a more detailed one. Sandeep is a renowned GMAT and MBA admissions expert. I've known him since my ISB days way back in 2014, 2015. And I've heard from his students about the amazing learning experience that they have had with him in cracking the GMAT. He has coached thousands of students to crack the GMAT and secure admissions to prestigious B schools such as Harvard, Wharton, Columbia, Kellogg, Booth, Stanford, MIT. And if I can plug in my alma mater over here to ISB as well, with exceptional scores of 800 out of 800 on the GMAT and 340 out of 340 on the GRE, he stands as a true outlier. He guarantees a 760 plus score to his students, and he's produced the most number of 99th percentile scorers in India. His achievements have, of course, made him a sought after GMAT coach, but not just that, but a speaker at international events, and has also resulted in him getting a documentary and an interview invitation from the New York Stock Exchange. With that, let me hand over all of you to the able hands of Mr. Sandeep Gupta, who will do this workshop on the new GMAT Focus Edition, and we'll take questions for him and Seema post his workshop. Over to you, Sandeep.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, Sanjay. So I'll just share my screen. Would like to hear if that is visible. Just let us know. Sanjay, would you?
It is.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And so one of the things that we really specialize in is the content of the exam. So you can come to know about the typical structure of the exam and what the features are. But the features you can learn in, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes. After that, 1 month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months of grind is all about the questions, all about learning. So we'll try to understand. I picked up 5 questions that were part of the GMAT Focus Edition material release from the GMAT itself. And I'll take you through, I'll give you some time. While I'm solving the questions, I'll be looking down at my screen, so I'll actually not be able to face the camera, but I hope you understand. I have a flat screen on which I'll be writing. So let's get started with what really I have. This is something that I've been doing for my living. This is something that I've been doing for 27 years. And this is what we live and breathe. So frankly speaking, if you look at Harvard and Wharton and Booth and INSEAD and MIT, and this is something that we live for every single day. This is our living. And 760 plus scorers, this has been the highest. So I really would like you to really start thinking that even in the focus edition, nothing really changes. What changes is that the exam is reduced, but the exam is not going to be really easy because this has to remain competitive, as Seema would probably endorse. So let's see, we will do this. We will take up 5 questions from the actual GMAT Focus Edition that you should really be able to see. I'll give you some time. If you have the chat window open, mark your answers in the chat window. I'm not sure YouTube people can also mark the answers, whoever is watching there. I would like to see what answers you marked, and then we'll have a detailed discussion on each of the questions. I hope this sounds exciting. Let's get started with the very first question. So I'm taking each of the types. I'm taking problem solving, 1 question, then data insights, 1 question, data sufficiency, reading comprehension, and critical reasoning. Each of the areas, I'll take 1 question. Please mark your answer once you're done with it. Probably take 2 minutes and mark your answer in the chat window. I'll expect more and more people to be interactive and participating, because this is your window. This is exactly what will tell you where you are in your journey and what kind of score you can expect if you were to write the exam right now, although that's not available, just in case. The idea is that what is it that the exam tests, how many things are tested, what the traps are, etc. So let's see. I have some answers already. Okay. Giving you some more time, 1 minute maybe, and then let's discuss. All right, so many answers there. Mostly the answer chosen is B, B for Bombay. Let's see. Just let me ask you, you are not given that Y is an integer, but many of you are assuming. This assumption is not good, because on the GMAT, anything that you assume is going to be penalized. Definitely. I mean, it's really going to count towards you. So you're not given that Y is an integer. Y square should be an integer. So can I say Y square could be 5 or 7 or 9? Let me just jig your muscles a little, and then I'll tell you. So that Y to the power 4 could be 25 or 49 or 81. Please read this again. Y to the power 4 is a 2-digit positive odd integer. So 25, 49, 81 is perfectly fine. N is divisible by Y square. So Y square has to be an integer. But Y doesn't have to be an integer. This is the mistake you've made. You assumed Y as an integer and then proceeded. So this does not work. We need not take Y as an integer. This is not compulsory. So we have to take Y square as an integer. Let me ask you, can I take Y square values as 5 or 7 or 9? If you're not clear, just read this on screen so that we can expedite this process. Obviously, in the training that I do, this goes on for much longer. Let's understand. If A is divisible by B, then there is a rule in math that says A and B both must be integers. So if I say N is divisible by Y square, then N has to be an integer and Y square has to be an integer. That doesn't mean Y has to be an integer. This is not compulsory. So let's remove that. So 6 is divisible by 3. We have read all our lives. I'm very sure nobody has read till date 6 is divisible by 1.5. That means what? Y square is not a fraction. Simple. So n and y square both are integers, but y need not be an integer. This is the catch. This is the trap. Okay. If y to the power 4 is odd, then y square also has to be an odd number. Root of an odd number is obviously an odd number if this is an integer, which we know y square is an integer. So I have taken, let's see, how will I proceed? I'll take, okay, let's say y square is an odd number. Let's start with 1. Y to the power 4 will also be 1, but I need a 2-digit number, so this doesn't work. Let's take y square equal to 3. Y square equal to 3, so y to the power 4 equal to 9. It's a 2-digit number. Once again, it doesn't work. If I take y square equal to 11, then y to the power 4 will be 121, which is a 3-digit number, which also doesn't work. So what works is this window. This window is perfect. Y square equal to 5, absolutely no problem. Y square could be 7, absolutely no problem. Y square equal to 9, absolutely no problem. 25 is a 2-digit positive odd number. 49 is a 2-digit positive odd number. 81 is a 2-digit positive odd number. So n is divisible by 5 or 7 or 9. If I write the table of 5, 10, I'll get 10. If I write the table of 7, and if I write the table of 9, I'll get 18. I can get here, if I start with 7, 14, but it is difficult to match 17. So try the biggest 2-digit number that is divisible by 7, 98. If I take 10, this will give me a sum of digit as 1, 1 plus 0. If I take 18, the sum of digits will be 1 plus 8, that is 9. And if I take 98, sum of digits will be 9 plus 8, that is 70. So to get this answer right, you will have to mark E because there are no partial answers, no partial answers whatsoever. So I hope it's clear. Once again, I'll take it so that everybody follows. I know some of you may not be so advanced with the math skills. Once again, it's very basic. Can these three work? And the answer is yes. The only thing that you have to avoid is y is an integer. Don't think y is an integer, that's it. This is not necessarily true. Y square could be 5 or 7 or 9. Y to the power 4 could be 25, 49, 81. As I said, n is divisible by y square. So n is divisible by 5 or 7 or 9. 10 is one possible number. 98 is one possible number. 18 is one possible number. This is divisible by 9. This is divisible by 7. This is divisible by 5. What is sum of these digits? 1. 1 plus 0. So 1 is possible. What is the sum of digits of 1 plus 8? 9. 9 is possible. What is the sum of digits of 98? 9 plus 8, 17. All three are possible. So you get marks only if you mark all three. Otherwise, you don't. So this answer B that you marked, there is a trap here that you assume y is an integer, which is not the case. So I hope you are able to follow this. Let's see one more question. We'll see data sufficiency, which is asked in the data insights section. So math has only problem solving now. Data insights will have data sufficiency. One of the questions is this. Please solve and mark your answer in the chat. So many people marking the answers. Once again, the GMAT really penalizes you for your assumptions. So those of you who have never seen this question, I know some of you may have seen this question because I can see some familiar names who are my own students. But otherwise, let's understand what is happening here and how we can actually counter this. Okay, let's understand. Once again, you are assuming x as an integer. This is not the right thing because if most people say 7x is integer, in that case, they obviously know x has to be an integer. If 7x is even, for them, x has to be an even number because they've thought x to be an integer. Once again, do not make that assumption. So imagine 7x could be equal to 2 for it to be. Here 5x would be equal to 4, etc., etc. So try to understand this. Let's see. I'm showing you something that I worked out so that we can hurry up a little. Now here, the basic assumption most people make, and that's the wrong assumption, is that x is an integer. You are not given that thing. So 7x could be equal to 2 because 7x is even. So x could be 2 by 7. It's not an even number. If it's not an even number, I'm getting a no answer because that is my question. If 7x is 14, it is up to me to take whichever even number because I just have to test. So it's an even number as well. So it could be even or not even. So the answer could be yes as well. So if the first statement is not sufficient, going back, what all is not possible? If I say first is not sufficient, A is not possible and D is not possible. Please see this clearly. So A and D are definitely not possible. Now let's see. Statement number 2. Please remember, while we are looking at statement 2, we are just not looking at statement 1 at all. So this you're blind to, as if this were not given. Just look at 5x is an even number. So 5x could be equal to 2. Absolutely. So x could be 2 by 5. So it is not an even number. So I get a no answer. Or 5x could be 10. So x could be 2. I get an answer as yes. So again, no and yes, that means second statement is not sufficient. So let's see, we'll mark B also not sufficient. So if A is not, 1 is not sufficient, A and D are not your answers. If 2 is not sufficient, B is also not your answer. So you are left with C and E. Let's see what we'll do. When we combine what we should do, what all is given? 7x is even, 5x is even. We combine 7x and 5x even. Now in math, there are 4 operations you can apply. Okay, what is it? You can add, you can subtract, you can multiply, you can divide. What will be the best thing to do here? Let's see. If I add, am I reaching closer to x or away from x? So if I add, I reach 12x. So addition is not a very smart move. If I subtract, I reach 2x. Maybe this I can keep. I don't know. I'll have to see. If I multiply, I'm creating an x square. That is 35x square, 5 and 7. X square is not what I want, so it's not a very smart move to multiply. So we'll reject this. If I divide, I get rid of x itself, but I need x, so this is a bad move. So the only move that works for me is subtraction, and we are subtracting here. So what happens when we subtract? 7x minus 5x is 2x. Even minus even is always even. So x comes out in even number divided by 2. Any even number divided by 2 is always an integer, always. So x is an integer. Any even number, you can say 2 by 2, 4 by 2, 6 by 2, 8 by 2, whatever, always you'll get an integer. Now on combining, we know this. X is an integer. We already know 7x is even. We already know 5x is even. So with this new knowledge that x is an integer, if 7 into an integer is even or 5 into an integer is even, x has to be an even number. Look at this. X is an integer. We came to know, we did not know this earlier from the main question. 7x is even is already known, 5x is even is already known. So in this case, x has to be an even number and the answer will be C, whereas most of the people, when they're marking it for the first time, they mark D. I will be able to tell you 99.3% is the rate of students marking the wrong answer here, D. I have really done this question over a very long time, but this has also been found in the Focus Edition. So this is one question that really should tell you. Now let's see, there is one more type of question that is called data insights. There is one more thing, integrated reasoning. There are 4 types of questions, say graph, table, multi-source, and 2-set. So I'm taking one question that I see recently released and I'll give you some time. Now here there are 3 parts to the question. You'll get marks only if you mark all the 3 parts, right? So let's see the question. Please mark your answer. Take some time, okay? You have to mark the answer true, false for first also, second also, third also, and then select an answer here. Let's see how you perform. Once you are done, I'll wait for your answer in the chat window, and then we'll discuss. This question might take a little time. Please don't just look at the question, guys. Buck up and solve, because this is what you'll have to do on the exam day as well. You might say, I don't have pen and paper and this and that. Get pen and paper, just get involved, just solve. We really do not want someone to be sitting, because in this case, if you don't get involved in this question, you won't understand even the explanation. So please solve. Nice to see suddenly a lot of answers coming. So please put in your answers, giving you 20, 30 more seconds maybe. Then we can start discuss. Okay, so the answers are all scattered, very few right answers. So we will have to see how to approach. Let's see the entire data first. 14 days overall in 6 cities. That means the days cannot be equally distributed. If it had been 12 days, 6 cities, it would have been easy, but there is some twist and turn already with the data. Each of the cities is in this. Each city has more than 30. Each country has more than 13 cities. Maybe this will be useful, maybe most probably not useful. At least one city has to be visited in each of the 3 countries, and at least 2 days, and obviously whole days. So the bunch of conditions will make this one slightly more difficult to handle. And we have to, another problem here is that if I get this right, but this wrong and this wrong, I won't get marks. If I get these 2 right and this wrong, no. I have to get all 3 right, then only some marks are rewarded here. So let's see. I'll take up the first one and discuss this. Let's see. Please, let's see the question first of all. If Julie visits an equal number of cities in each of the countries. Now, if there are 6 cities overall, equal number of cities will mean 2, 2, 2. The greatest total number of days she can spend in country X is 6. So let's say, first of all, as I said, 2, 2, 2. So I make cities are 2, 2, and 2. The minimum number of days spent in 2 cities is 4, because she spends 2 days in each city minimum. In Y also, if she visits 2 cities, she will spend 4 days. Okay. Now 4 plus 4, 8 days are gone. So what is the number of days remaining? 6. So in X, she has to go to how many cities now? 2 cities. Let's say those 2 cities are A and B, but she has 6 days remaining maximum. So she can visit 1 city for 2 days, but there is no limit given that she has to visit only for 2 days, at least 2 days. Okay, at least. So that means it could be more than 2 as well. So maybe she can spend 4 days in this city, 2 days here, and total 6 days. So let's see once again, equal number of cities, 2, 2, 2. The greatest total number of days that can in country X is 6. So that is absolutely fine. The answer is 6. So this would be true. Then we'll see the second question, whether it is true or false. Let's see. Please pay attention. If Julie visits a combined total of 4 cities in X and Y, the greatest in y. So I have to minimize. If I say y has to be maximized, I have to minimize x. The minimum number of cities is 1. So the minimum number of days will be 2. So 1 city here and 2 here. And total of 4 cities, that means y can have 3 cities. A, let's say B, let's say, and C. All right. So 4 cities are here and total are 6 cities. So for Z, there will be 2 cities. Please see the exact thing. X and Y combined is 4. Total cities are 6. So Z will be 2. In Z, what is the minimum number of days then? 2 cities means 4 days. So this is 4 days. X, I want to maximize Y. So I'll minimize X to 1. That means 2 days. And in Y now there are 3 cities. But how many days are remaining? 4 here and 2 here. 6 are consumed out of 14. So 8 days are remaining. She can spend 8 days maximum in Y. So not 6. 8 is the answer. So this will be false. Let's see if she visits a combined of 4 cities in X and Y. So X1, greatest for Y I have to find out. So Y greatest can be 3. Why is it? Total cities are 6. And in Z, suppose, because it is total of 4 here. So 2 cities will be visited in Z. The minimum number of days, I have to minimize everything else. Okay, this I have to minimize. I have to have at least 1 city in each country. So X1 city will be minimum of 2 days. Z 2 cities minimum of 4 days. Now Y will be 3 cities maximum. But in 3 cities, it doesn't have to be 6 days because this if I minimize, this is 2. This I minimize, this is 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. So out of 14, 8 remain here. So I can devise like this. So not 6, but the answer would have been 8. So this is false. Let's see the third one. Okay, so let's see. If the city of Docomo is in country X and the Julie spends as many days as possible, means maximum possible in Docomo. Now, and as few days as possible in each of the other cities that she visits. She can visit a maximum of how many cities? Now, this one is a little tricky for many people because that's why they have got the wrong answer, this one. Let's see. If I want to maximize Docomo, in that case, I should not add any more cities here. Okay. So what is the number of cities she has to go to? 6 cities. Let's say A, B, C, D, E, and Docomo. So this is 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So that is 10 days. So maximum 4 days. In any city, in fact, she can't have more than 4 days. As you see here, in any city, more than 4 days are not possible. So what is given here? She can visit a maximum of 4 cities in country Y. This is absolutely clear. Let's understand it one more time. What do I have to do? As many days as possible in Docomo. That is maximum of 4 days. Do not increase the number of cities in X. So this is 4. For Z, it is 1 city. So it is 2 days. So maximize this. So 1 city is consumed here. 1 city is consumed here. 4 cities are here. Total number of 8 days because 8 plus 4 is 12 plus 2 is 40. This is how we will get the answer. And this is true. So now my tally is, what was the tally? First one was true. Second one was false. Third one was false. Oh, sorry, true. In that case, my answer is C. Very few people have got the answer as C, which is surprising because this is not too much. But yes, it takes a little while to get adjusted because this is a completely new thing that you're doing suddenly and it takes a while. So just take care of this aspect and shouldn't be a problem. Anybody who has a doubt can ask me in the chat window. Please let me. If the voice was breaking, I'm really sorry. I'll keep my mic even closer. Now, verbal has been there and critical reasoning and reading comprehension have been there for a long time and sentence correction being removed. We will still have these, taking one question from each because remember, over the last 27 years, I have observed one thing. If your CR and RC are sorted, your GMAT score can be super high, very, very, very high. If these are not sorted, no matter what. So if you ask me as the trainer, what is the most important in terms of scoring, I'll say CR and RC. So I'll take one question of each. I hope you solve them. Please read and solve because this is what you'll have to do on the exam day. Some of us might be very lazy that who will read the passage? Why should I do this? Please, please, please do this and it will not take too much time. Please mark your answer and we'll move on. Let's see. Please solve this one. All right, let's see how we read an argument in critical reasoning is this. So many right answers, and maybe you've seen the question. This has been there on the previous GMAT editions as well, and it's there in the Focus Edition content as well. So let's see. The moment you read the word percentage, you realize this is a math problem given in verbal, not really a verbal problem. That means it's not based on words alone. You will have to do something. And there is an instruction that I give in my classes as well. The moment you see percentage, look for the word number. Because there is something called number percentage flaw. You are asked, what is the flaw? This is a question. It's been there on the GMAT for some time. It's also there in the new edition. So number percentage flaw. So when we see the word percentage, you should only be looking for number. And how do I make flaw evident? The fact given by the author, I will have to respect. But the conclusion given by the author, I'll have to challenge. I can never challenge the fact. I'll have to challenge the conclusion. So what is the author saying? Percentage is decreasing. So number is decreasing. I will respect this part. This is a fact. So I will respect. But number is decreasing. I'll have to challenge. So I have to prove that the number is increasing. I have done this for you so that it is not very ambiguous. So let's see. What is the percentage of preventable flight delays? Percentage of preventable will be percentage divided by total number of delays into 100. So is the number going to decrease? Let's say earlier, we used to have 200 delays only, out of which 50% were preventable. So how many 50% of 200 used to be 100? Now we have 1000 delays. And only 20% are preventable. So this will still be 200. What is the argument saying? Percentage decreased, we respected it. But the argument is saying number decreased, we challenge it. The number has increased from 100 to 200, not decreased. If the total increases, the number increases, not decreases. So the moment you understand this, what are we supposed to do? Let's see. Author is saying percentage of preventable decrease, that's a fact. So the number of preventable decrease, that's a conclusion. I have to respect the fact, but I have to challenge the conclusion. Accept the fact and challenge. So we have to prove even if the percentage decrease, number can increase. Percentage was 50%. Now the percentage is 20%. Total was 200, let's say earlier. Now the total is 1000. Preventable delays number would have been 100. This number. And the authors thought the number was decreasing. What have we proved? The number has increased from 100 to 200. How can this happen when we increase this big value? 200 becomes 1000. So if you look at D, if the overall number of delays, total number of delays increased in that case, despite the fact that the percentage decreased, the number can increase a lot. And this tells you both the conclusions drawn by the author will be wrong the moment I get this. That does not mean airline listened to complaints. If the airline had listened to complaints, this number should have decreased, but the number has increased. So this is also wrong. And this is also wrong. We have proved both the conclusions wrong the moment this. So there's one lesson. The moment you see percentage, you have to do your math. You have to look for the word number. And the question is very easily solvable. I hope all of you are able to understand this and we can move on. So yeah, let's see. One more question I'll take. The most important area, please gear up and please give attention. I know it takes a little while to concentrate, but RC will decide whether your score is very, very high or moderate or low. So one question in RC, please attempt. I can guarantee one thing, guys. If you have not done this question with me, there is no chance you'll get it right. But I can see so many of you marking, and I can see familiar names. A lot of you are my students already. So really something that really, this is one question that used to be called on the GMAT and 800 level problem. Without checking the solution, nobody got it right. So probably you've seen it with me, but still those of you who have not seen will just not get the right answer. This is one of those things that the GMAT throws at us, in which all your intuition, all your assumptions, all your thought process, all your day-to-day things are just thrown for a toss. So be with me how to approach this question. Let's see. First thing, a very basic idea about the octave method that I talk about is like in solving reading comprehension, you should look for the opinion of the author. Is there a personal opinion or not? Simple. Okay, we will see whether there is a personal opinion or not. Personal opinion, there is only one test. It can be challenged. This is taught, by the way, for 45 hours in my classes. So obviously right now we can't do that kind of justice, but still. We should look for if there is a contradiction word. We should look for one thing, whether the tone of the passage is positive or negative or neutral. Because you're asked about the tone itself. Just one caveat here, if the author does not have a personal opinion, the tone has to be neutral. Has to be neutral. Okay, so this. And we avoid, we verify, and we eliminate. These are other things that we do in reading comprehension. Now let's see, somebody might look at this answer and suddenly say, no, this is negative, this is wrong. That's where the exam challenges our intuition. Let's see the meaning of disinterested from one of the top dictionaries, and that says disinterested is not uninterested. That is not like to benefit, therefore able to do fair. Disinterested means fair, unselfish, impartial, objective, neutral, detached. So disinterested means neutral. Someone who does not take sides. Suppose there's a match going on, football match going on, and the referee is supposed to remain disinterested. That doesn't mean the referee is supposed to remain uninterested. You have to be extremely interested, but disinterested means neutral and unbiased. So please be very clear, unbiased, unselfish, impartial, objective, detached is very important. Now, what happens here, if this is the passage, some people who are reading it for the first time, they will see far-reaching global impact. They'll mark it positive. Dominant technology, they'll mark it positive. Many advantages positive. Displays, this is positive. They will say all this is positive. There is positive. In this case, this is positive. When you look at it very closely, you will find that none of these are opinions. Because nobody will challenge this. This is a classic 800 level problem from the previous one. Probably this will be classified as an 800 because it's almost 100 percentile level problem. So there is nothing positive in this passage because there is no opinion. Please remember, all these are facts. It has many advantages. Nobody will challenge. It has had a far-reaching impact. Nobody will challenge this. Nobody will challenge, nobody will challenge. So all these things are facts. If there is no opinion, then the tone is neutral. This is a positive tone, rejected. This is a positive tone, rejected. This is a positive tone, rejected. So we are left with this. Now go back to disinterested, impartial, objective, detached, neutral explanation. This is what the passage is. This is a neutral explanation. So this is the answer. Some people who are not able to eliminate option D, we explore something when we don't know, but we want to know. Now, in this case, the author seems to know everything about LCD. The author is not an explorer. The author is not saying, let's find out what LCDs are. Let's see. If I say, let's explore a gadget, let's explore a country, means let's find out. The author is an expert. An expert is not someone who is exploring in this passage. So clearly see, this is the most unexpected answer for people. But seeing my students, I can very clearly see disinterested is neutral. Once again, please see this here, disinterested meaning. Very crucial. It means objective. So I can say in the previous passage, it's an impartial, objective, neutral, detached, and unselfish and fair explanation. It does not take sides. So this is a very, very peculiar question that has been asked, and really speaking, nobody gets it right the first time. So this is for this. Just 2 minutes I'll take, and then I'll hand it over to the respective people in here, and they'll really close. Just 2 minutes. We have been really creating the content for the new GMAT Focus Edition for the last 8 months. So we had some kind of inkling that some things would change. And when it was announced about 4-5 months back, and then again about 2 months ago, and this, so completely revamped our content. Reading comprehension and critical reasoning are going to remain in the verbal section. Just showing you, we have been producing, this score is 780, but more important, critical reasoning 100%, reading comprehension 100% on the actual exam. This is by one of our students. So CR and RC that are part of the GMAT, they can be both 100% with the content and the techniques that I deliver. The quantitative section has remained as it is, except geometry, everything remains. And the quantitative section also, people have been scoring full 100%. And this is a very high frequency metric. So don't worry about the quant bit also. This person who has also got into Wharton deferred MBA program, this is the person called Harshit Jain. So this also, because this is a new section, some people have some caution around data insights. So 1 minute, I'll give you some idea, and then we'll see. There are 5 types of questions. Data sufficiency, which has always been asked since the time I have known the GMAT. This is 29 years that I first saw what the GMAT was. Data sufficiency was there. So nothing new. This thing was introduced 11 years ago as IR. And all the questions released by GMAT on this, I taught way back in 2012, 11 years ago. So nothing new here, just trying to tell you that there's nothing to worry about this. The recent release was multi-source table graphics 2-part. This is exactly what I'd been teaching. And this video was published on YouTube 11 years ago. I have it on my own channel. So we really had, this question was released by GMAT just now, 3 months ago. This question was also released 11 years ago, and I'd been teaching this. So you don't, every single question released, I have already taught in my videos. This was another question, email 1, 2, 3. I'd been teaching email 1, 2, 3. This was again 11 years ago, so nothing to worry. This is a graph, the same graph again. This is a graph that was released 3 months ago. It was also released 11 years ago for the integrated reasoning bit. So something that I've been teaching for a very long time. You can see each question released now was taught by me 11 years earlier. Just for your understanding, same questions 11 years ago. This has also been released right now. So exactly the same question, zoology studying, again this. Okay, literature department, each and every question you can see, whatever has been released now, this. In fact, when integrated reasoning was just a grade and not so important, because it did not contribute to your 200 to 800 score, even then, so many of the people have been scoring 8 without even studying much. So it's not going to be such a difficulty. Very recently, 4th of July, somebody wrote the exam in the current format, obviously, and scored 8. So this is very normal, this Sanskriti Tripathi. Very recently, once again, somebody scored 760, I'm not talking about their overall score, just this, that this is something that is nothing that you should be worried about. Okay, score of 8, overall 780. So IR has been 8 for a really long time. This person wrote the exam immediately after the section was introduced. This section was introduced in July 2012. This person wrote the exam in August of 2012 and got an IR score of 8. So this is not required that I play the video, etc. But look at this. This guy wrote the exam in 2012 August and his IR score was 8, went to Yale. Nothing to worry is all I'm saying. 770 IR is 8. So IR is not really going to be your worry. 750 IR is 8. Very, very normal thing to get this. 770 IR score of 8 again. Very recent scorers. Again, IR score of 8. You can see. And I don't have to go on. Just this, the last one probably. And so IR score of 8 has been there. So nothing to worry. The only thing I wanted to tell is there is no need to worry about the new section. You can just take the screenshot of this and contact my colleague Kesha if you want any more information or something. Or you can scan this QR code. Please take a screenshot of this and just take a screenshot. I'll just hand it over to Sanjay in half a minute. And this is the QR code. If you want to scan for any more information about how we teach, what batches we have, what courses we have on this, all the information we'll give you plus a proper demo round. Okay, so this is the number 97395613994, and this is the QR code you can scan. Over to you, Sanjay. I hope this was useful for people. Yeah.
This was extremely insightful, took me back to my GMAT preparation days. I should confess that I couldn't get many of the questions right. It's been over a decade since I prepped for it, but it was a great refresher. So really, thank you for that. I know we are over time, but I still want to take a few minutes and take up some of the audience questions that I had promised. I'm just going to take the few quick ones. I think the major question that's coming is which test to focus on, right? Since the changeover for good is going to happen in Q1 2024. If someone is already started preparing for the older version now, or if someone is starting their preparation now, should they start prepping for the new version, continue with the old version? How should they plan this entire approach so that there's very minimal disruption in their preparation strategies due to the changeover? Sandeep, if you want to
Seema would be more suited to answer this because this is an official sort of question. So yeah,
so
please go ahead.
I'm going to let her answer this, but I'm going to come back to you for your opinion as well. I'm going to be the journalist.
Sure. Let her answer first.
Seema, you're on mute.
Seema, please unmute. Your audio is not there.
Oh yeah, I was saying that I think Sandeep saw me at the edge of my seat waiting to pounce on that particular question. Because this is one question I too do get quite often. One of the things with respect to preparation, I would say that because you can see that the question items do not actually vary as much, whatever preparation that the candidates actually do right now can easily be translated to the Focus Edition. And it's about getting used to the new exam format and structure, one. Second, if you are applying to the 2024 cycle, especially the round 1 and round 2, our launch does not, like the timelines will not coincide with that particular round 1, round 2. So what is really relevant for you would be the current version of the GMAT exam for you to apply. And I would say, please do not keep your exams for the last moment because you're just really pushing your luck at that point, right? But also, with a couple of schools kind of clearing up the confusion because they've been getting a lot of questions regarding, should I take this or should I take that? And to ensure that candidates apply on time, like let's say Harvard and Wharton, they said that, apply with the current version of the Focus for the 2024. So they'll have to check with that for this cycle, but moving forward, I think they can easily, even people who prepared now and thinking about writing Focus later, they can transition easily. But Sandeep, over to you.
Yeah, so my answer has always been if you're preparing for the GMAT right now and want to go for round 1 or round 2 of 2023 for admissions in 2024, don't even bother about thinking about the Focus Edition, just write the current edition. It will anyway be valid for 5 years, irrespective. So this, and if it's round 3, then you see what happens in Jan. Right now, don't bother. And many schools gradually will say, this is the prediction and the general contacts that I have. Harvard and Wharton have categorically said they will not accept the Focus Edition for this year's round 1 and round 2, and many schools will follow suit. So if you're going for round 1 or round 2 of 2023 for 2024 cycle, definitely stick to the current edition. Now, there's one caveat here. Some people ask, but will my score become stale or will it become irrelevant? This is a regular question. If you're applying even in 2026 with a score that you got in 2023, we checked with GMAT as well earlier, writing an email and attending the live session. The answer has been it will not become irrelevant. It will be valid for 5 years as the current edition and the Focus Edition. So really, there's no such thing for you to choose from. As last thing Seema said, if you prepare for the current edition, you can very easily transition because this new edition is only getting smaller, I guess. It's not really getting anything new. IR is obviously becoming a section that will be evaluated, but still the skill required for IR is just remaining the same. And every possible institute will be able to prepare you for this as well. So knowing this reality, I don't think there's anything to panic.
All right. That's fair advice. Any opinion on the difficulty of the test? So do you see the new test being Focus Edition being easier to score on, more difficult? So my personal belief is it's relative since it's scored on a curve, it's a grading scale. So I think it doesn't matter which is more difficult or which is easier, but let me bring it to the official test maker and then the expert.
Okay, so I'll just tell you one thing. I have taught GMAT and other assessments previously as well, the entire bit. Okay. So it's very funny how people kind of like say that, oh yeah, this is a very difficult exam. It's just that the skill sets that are required or which are actually tested is logic. So I think the general familiarity with, logic-based kind of questions in general, our market does, has not been that used to, which is why the perception is there, but it's actually not difficult once you actually get used to the questions. So essentially, having said that, because the question types, and Sandeep also reiterated that fact, it's not essentially changing. So I don't see how it's actually going to get difficult. In fact, the prep time gets reduced because the content areas are actually reducing. It's not just the test has reduced in an hour or, not just that, but the overall prep time actually goes down. And during the testing itself, there's so many features that actually reduces the amount of pressure that the candidate has. So, essentially in the past as well, when I used to teach, the biggest issue that, my students used to face was that pressure that comes with at that stage of preparation or at the stage of life they're at. This is really important for me. And along with that, when they have to kind of like decide the score sending before the exam, and not really feeling that I have the freedom to change responses. So all of those things add to a lot of pressure. And I feel that with the Focus Edition, that pressure is removed. So
right.
there's a little bit more calm that they can actually move ahead with.
Right. So I think Seema has answered this really well. I don't have anything to add because this is more an official response than anything else, because I wouldn't even know what the Focus Edition would contain in real testing terms. So we'll have to wait and watch. Probably I'll write the exam as soon as it's released. I'll find out. Then I'll be able to come. Right, Sanjay?
So I'm going to just run through the next few questions. I know we are significantly over time over here, but just a few more minutes. So to the audience, stay with us. We are going to wrap up this session very shortly. So there have been some, Ranjika, Sandeep, there have been some questions around the coaching. So I'm going to reinforce this. Those of you who are looking to get in touch with the top 1% team, get guidance on your when would the mock test for the Focus Edition be available, whether the coaching is available online or not, and how things work, I would recommend scanning this QR code or calling this number. So WhatsApp, WhatsApp, or call this number, reach out to Keshav in top 1%'s team to get responses to your queries around preparation, especially if you're looking to prepare with Sandeep sir and the team over there. What I want to do a quick minute before we take one or two more questions is quickly reshare the screen around the business school festival that I had shown earlier.
Sure. Absolutely. That will be really, really nice.
Those of you who can benefit this earlier, we are bringing some of the top B schools, admission directors from some of the top B schools in the US, like Berkeley has, Duke Fuqua, Texas McCombs, Emory, Rice, UC Davis, University of San Diego, St. John's, George Washington, Illinois, to Mumbai, Pune, Delhi, Hyderabad.
You can please share your screen. Yes.
I think mine is visible now. If it's not,
yeah, it is visible.
So the QR code for the registration page is on the screen. You can scan this QR code. Our team would also put it in the chat. You can just click, go on the registration page. You'll see events for all the cities over there, along with their dates and timings. These are starting on the 29th of July, going on till the 5th of August. So if you're looking to attend, scan this QR code or click on the link and do register. It would be a great opportunity to meet admission directors face-to-face, attend workshops, panel discussions, presentations, and then take an informed decision for your further studies and journey from there. With that, let me take up the last question for the evening, and let me see if I have something really interesting or big one. I'm going to take a general question because this has come up from Gunjan. The ideal age for doing an MBA. I am tempted to answer this from an admission officer perspective.
Please do. That would be really nice that you answer.
So as an ex-admissions officer and having done my MBA as well, I did it fairly early in my journey. I just had 2.5 years of work ex. So what I realized was there's no ideal age for an MBA. At top tier B schools, you see a variety of age ranges. So people coming with as low as 2 years of work ex to as high as 15, 17, 20 years of work ex as well. And then there are programs, right? In regular MBA programs, of course, you see this diversity of age and experience. But then there are programs which are specifically focused for candidates with different age groups as well. So for example, if you're looking at the regular full-time MBA programs, Average age tends to be around 27, 28, 5 years of average work ex, ranging from 2-3 years on the lower side to 8-10 years. That's the median 80% that I'm talking about. There would be, of course, some outliers. So there are these regular MBA programs for this age group. Then there are weekend MBA programs or professional MBA programs, which are for people with higher work ex. There are executive MBA programs like, of course, the EMBA programs or the ISB PGP Max, which are designed for people with over 10 years of work experience, average is 17, 18 years. These are modular part-time programs. And now there are also some full-time MBA programs for people with higher work experience. So the MIT Sloan Fellows MBA or the Stanford MSX program or the London Business School's Sloan Fellows program. Again, these are for people with 10 plus years of work experience. These are full-time programs. So there are a variety of programs. I've seen candidates with even 30 plus years of experience coming into B school in a full-time program at one point. So there's no ideal age. You need to decide for yourself when is the right time for you. I hope I'm doing justice to this question. Ranjan, I see your comment in the chat. But as I said, there are a variety of programs, there are executive MBA programs, there are full-time programs which cater to higher experience as well. GMAT, executive assessment, these are tests which cater to a variety of these candidates as well. So if you're looking for more guidance, maybe reach out to the top 1% team. They may be able to advise more.
Yes, we will be definitely able to advise as well. And Ranjika has posted a link. Please, either you go through the Google, the other link that we shared as scan code. Otherwise, there's another link. We will genuinely be able to answer all your questions in detail, both related to the GMAT and related to the admissions. Very, very. Also, just wanted to tell that we have the full program ready with the number of mocks, everything. Just contact us, then only we'll be able to do. I think this time we will not want to discuss all the features, etc. Right. Thank you, Sanjay. It has been an absolutely wonderful experience. Very, very special thanks to Seema for joining us. And what can I say? I mean, this has just been one of those things. I hope people will also take advantage from the types of questions, because eventually questions will decide your score. So I guess that I could bring that, and just with 5 questions, I wanted to bring the entire spectrum of what they can expect on the exam. Thank you, both of you. And it has been wonderful.
This has been great. Thank you, Sandeep. And thank you, Seema, again. To the audience, just one reminder, get started on the prep soon. Don't delay the prep. Don't leave it to the last minute. I think acing the test does take its time and effort. So do that for sure. Start soon. And hope you took away some advantage from this session as well. Great.
Right. And I'd just like to thank you, Sanjay. This session has been absolutely great. Takes me back to the training days as well. I love the audience for making it as interactive, because the questions have been popping up. I've tried to answer as much as I can on the Q&A. So thank you so much, Sandeep. Thank you as well. So, thank you for this experience.
Connect with all of us on LinkedIn, and we will be very happy to answer individually all your questions as well. In case we were not able to answer, obviously we couldn't, and we wouldn't be able to in an hour-long session. And thanks a lot. Right. Over to you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you to the audience as well. You have been wonderful. Do take care, and all the best for your future journeys. Take care. Have a good evening. Bye.